Alright, good morning. Today we've got a long list of stuff. Yeah, got to sort that out, lots of things to sort out. I'm going to start with these new artifacts, and yeah, just sorting out artifacts in general. I've got to kind of go through each one because I've changed the way they work fundamentally. Well, most of them, and I'm just worried that the balance is going to be way off, but we'll see where we land. Okay, so I think just starting from the very top here, critical heal, we're going to change that to critical chicken. I think that's more fun sounding as well. Killer chicken on player heal, and then good heal sprite, that's different. But this one is ultimate chicken. Drop a chicken when you do an ultimate on buff. Wait, no, that one should stay the same. Okay. And then going down the list, mana stays the same. Holy crit. Holy crit doesn't exist anymore. And while I was kind of keeping some of these just to sort of, in case I wanted to change, I'll just delete those now. Good crit, critical buff, critical mana, critical. Yeah, that's all correct. And we're getting rid of the rain ones. We can always bring them back later if we want them. Killer explosion. Yeah, we should also have critical explosion, right? And also, I'm going to get rid of this serialized field thing. This was something that the AI did, but I just don't see, like, way back when I was attempting to vibe code. But I think I'm just going to get rid of it. Yeah, it just doesn't. I think it was. Yeah, it didn't really work. Okay, so we want. Yeah, critical explosion is fun, right? Every time you crit, you have a chance of causing an explosion, and it's just a bit of fun, isn't it? And then we've got summon, chicken, holy. No, holy is. So that used to be heal everyone rather than heal the user, but that doesn't apply anymore. It's always heal everyone. Killer buff, and then killer mana, killer reset, killer rain is gone. Vengeful summon, vengeful chicken, holy avenger, vengeful buff, vengeful mana, vengeful reset, vengeful rain. Vengeful is when one of your units dies. Play heal. Holy summon. I kind of want these in the right order as well, just to stick to the same order each time. Summon, chicken, good. Although that's not the best order. Going to be a little bit, like this really changes nothing, but let's have things that drop items. And then let's have like this thing is more powerful. Summon, chicken, mana, buff, reset, explosion. Summon, chicken, mana, buff, reset, explosion. And then on heal, heal to get a heal is like not really good. So heal, summon, buff. Yeah, so heal, summon, chicken, mana, buff, reset, explosion, and we're getting rid of rain. Damage type stays the same. Buff explosion? No, I'm not gonna do that. I mean, the explosion ones I might get rid of anyway, actually. Just because what I'm interested in is the ones that have interesting synergies. And explosion's fun, but it's not really gameplay. And it would just make my life a bit easier. Make an explosion, critical explosion. Do I want to keep critical explosion? So if I was a big games company, I would have a meeting with 10 overpaid designers for like weeks before deciding this. Do I want explosions? Because it doesn't synergize with anything else. Reset synergizes with slow weapons. Buff synergizes with buffs. Mana synergizes with ultimates. Chicken with healing. And counterbalances a build that doesn't have much healing. Summon synergizes with vengeful. Strong crit synergizes with crit. But critical explosion, it synergizes with crits. But it's like the explosion itself like you could have something that's like all explosions do more. Like all explosions have their AoE increase, but that's not really the kind of game. You know what, I'm not going to get rid of them. I'll just keep them for now. Let's just fix the things we came here to fix. Summon, chicken. Ultimate mana, like ultimate uses mana, so to get mana back from doing an ultimate's a bit silly. Holy ultimate. Doesn't make sense either. Ultimate summon, ultimate chicken. Good ultimate, no, that's too tricky. Ultimate buff, ultimate reset's also just not balanced. Like, it's not good enough outcome. Damage type, yeah. Buff, debuff. Summon, chicken, mana, reset, buff, and buff. Buff, to do a buff on buff is like silly. Debuff. Debuff. Summon, chicken, mana, reset. Do a buff on debuff. Debuff, buff. Like, why not, I guess? I think just because it doesn't really click. I mean, I'm going to get rid of a lot of these, I think, and just keep the ones that are like really fun. But yeah, stoic, chicken, summon, chicken, mana. Reflect is the more powerful one. Buff, reset, explosion. So we could have debuff, explosion. You know what? I am going to get rid of the explosion ones. Just because I just don't feel like they fit, and we want to just stick to the ones that really fit, right? And then the resurrect ones. Undying Grip, Double Blood, Grave Resurrect. Grave Buff, Grave Mana, Grave Reset. No. So we just ended up with these. Summon, chicken, mana. Strong. Buff, reset. Summon, chicken, mana. extra buff reset. Doing a full tidy of this script. And then these are, it's just a place to write it down really, I won't delete them. Okay, so then we want to keep this all in the same order. Good crit. And then let me just try, so because I'm trying to like tidy where I can. So if we go into character container and we go critical summon, and we say something like, instead of this, for each artifact in gm.c.active_artifacts, if artifact dot, and we'll just write this even though it's not set up yet, outcome, so artifact dot outcome is equal to artifact dot, yeah, so first it would be if artifact dot proc is equal to artifact proc dot critical, so we do have that. And then we'll actually do a switch case. So yeah, it's nice. I can tidy this, tidy this. I can never remember how to do a switch case. It's really bad. I should remember, but like I can just never remember the setup switch. It's just very simple. It would be artifact just want this again, just reuse the dice. And we can even say like, oh yeah, no, because we might have more than one, so it should be per and then we say if dice is less than artifact dot chance, then do this. And then we can say could chance exist outside of that? So it would be like, so yeah, it can. And yeah, if it's in here, then it's active. And then we can say, put this up here. So that we don't need it here. And I think this should work. Why wouldn't this work? For each artifact, oh, the active artifacts looks for a string. And then we are doing a for each artifact in artifact list. Is that okay? Is that messy? Is that too much? Because then we're like going through this long list of artifacts every time the thing procs. But no, we're open. No, so this should be an artifact. We'll go straight to it. Going to cause all kinds of issues. Yeah, I'm going to rename this stream. We want to check if it's relates to this at the top. For each artifact. If it's relates to this, then roll the dice. If dice is less than artifact.chance, then if it's less than chance, then yeah, so if it happens, Sorry, I was just thinking about something else. Dice equals range. Yeah, so we only do that if it relates to the artifact. I'm just trying to be optimal. Like only roll the dice if it's actually like relates to this, and then if the dice is lower than the chance of the artifact, modify the stats. Artifact or outcome. Then artifact or summon, yeah. So if the outcome is that, then do that. Okay, and then we could actually be really clever and make a bit of code that is like, just so we're not repeating ourselves here. We could say public static void like run artifact outcome. Yeah, run artifact outcome. Not going to spend too long thinking about what the name should be. And then this, but then we actually, yeah, so then we go yeah, we don't need that. Okay, so then we need artifact. We need to know what the artifact is. And then this can apply to all of them. Okay, but then where... And this is always going to happen like on a character, I think. And so we need artifact and we need the character container that this is happening to, right? So, like that. So, this would be like, yeah. But we've got the damager. So we could have like subject and object, right? So it's the person who did the damage should get the sprite appear above them, who like made the thing happen. But then like the victim of it is someone else. So it would be like character container, like attacker and victim. No, it's not always as simple as that. Yeah, it'd be like subject and object. Oh no, that doesn't like the word object. Okay. Character, object, character. So this would be the object, character. Wait, no, that's not good for me because I always mix up my subjects and my objects in my logical thinking. So character container as yeah, like who did it, and then who did it get done to? Like who's going to drop the item if there's an item dropping? So yeah, subject is the person who did it. Okay, let's just learn that. So the item is dropped from the object character, and the thing appears on the subject character. Right? That makes sense. That works. Okay. So yeah, we're definitely cleaning up this code. So then instead of doing this, oh, could we even lock this into that? Could we even include this so we don't have to write this each time? So then our code for like calling an artifact becomes really, really simple. Right? That makes sense. And then just to be really tidy, we'll just make And then, so we're not having to like make a float. I doubt that makes much difference at all, but I know it's good practice to not, wherever you can, like don't make a thing just to delete it later. Oh, but that can't access. Oh, that's so dumb. Why can't it's just my fundamental lack of understanding of how this code works, I guess. But I would want, so what, this would have to be public. Oh, would I have to go, like what would be the best way to do this? Would I go, yeah, private float dice? No, so this would be, and then does that work? Okay, I'm gonna assume that that's not too like messy. I think I have a feeling that like having lots of static variables is bad, but I'm not sure. Dice equals random range. If dice is less than artifact.chance, do the outcome. So roll the dice, do the outcome. So then all we have to put here is, and then this is an if statement because it's not a switch statement. We say artifacts dot run artifact outcome artifact, and this would be the subject is the damager, and the object is this. This is the person who got crit. This is the take damage script where we decide if it's a crit or not. So that is much tidier than that. And then we don't have to write it out for each of these. So let's do case artifact outcome dot. So what do we do? Summon heal. Heal should be chicken. And you know, not necessarily final, but it's going to be easy to change. But let's just do it how we think is proper for now. And then yeah, we go down to some outcome to chicken, then drop item chicken, and that would be the same. And so for the item drop ones, it's really, really simple. We could even have item as a thing and then just drop the item, but is that worth doing now? No, I don't think an artifact should have an item attached to it. We should just do, this is fine for now at least. We could even further refine this, but there's just no need. It could be here forever if we focus on that too much. Right, so artifact outcome dot mana. Then yeah, so this is chicken mana. Okay. And then we have, so what is it? Chicken, so good chicken, summon chicken mana buff reset. So yeah, let's copy this. Buff reset. Buff reset. And we could actually keep explosion. What do we have? Buff reset. And then we could have one which is extra, which should go at the top. But that's different. That's going to be a specific outcome. Extra. So I think that's where it would actually have to live at the place that it happens. But then buff could be... so the attacker gets a buff, but then we still need to ask, so if subject is equal to player, gm.c.player, no, if subject character.is player, that's easier, that's just a bool. So if it was the player who did this versus not the player, and we can go and find the code here and just see how it copies over. So critical buff, it's like is damager.is player random buff all and make random buff. Okay, so that's easy enough. Subject character dot random buff all make subject character make random buff. That's not the best naming, but make random buff should be buff self. Random buff self. Yeah, random buff all versus random buff self. And that's going to cause a lot of errors all over the place, but that's what refactoring is all about. Okay. Oh, do we need a character for this? No, it should just be this. And this is not the tidiest it can be, but I'm just going to do one thing at a time. Yeah. Okay. And then what's the code for this, just so I don't have to think about it? I mean, I know how to reset the weapons, but critical reset. Okay, yeah, and it's a similar. So we ask is player, then we reset all of the weapons, and otherwise we just reset the weapon of the subject character. Weapons of the subject character. Okay. And then we could easily bring back explosion, actually. And then, so yeah, we make item burst is always just there. And then we could say case, even though I've kind of decided to remove this. Do we not have explosion? Outcome dot. Huh. Okay. Well, let's just add it. Okay. If artifact outcome dot explosion, then how do we do it here? So killer explosion, make artifact explosion. That's it. Simple as that. Except it would be. So it doesn't matter who's doing it. Make artifact explosion on the object character. So that would, so then we just make sure that the object, so yeah, it would be object character dot make artifact. What was it? I mean, we don't need a we could just go straight to this. And then it would be the AoE effect would be on the object and the yeah, this is a bit messy, but and yeah, so and then it and so in the case of explosion, it doesn't matter who is calling the artifact so much. Although it does, because we need to know where to bring that from, but that's fine, and I just need to make sure I do that properly. Okay. And then for extra, so it's like the crit is doubled, but we're now out of that zone. So we go back to critical summon, for example, and we can say, right, if... Where's good crit? So we keep good crit. So we do the artifacts. If the proc is critical, run artifact outcome. If artifact dot proc dot outcome is equal to dot extra, then that means it's good crit, and therefore the damage multiplier is 2. But we have already made the item burst, so we don't need to do that. So like for all of these, we just go, if it's extra, then we have to put it here, because it would, we don't want to like leave the damage script and then come back to it, right? And we'll just put a note there, handled at source. So we have extra, and then other is like also probably just going to be handled at source, but a lot of these are just the same. Buff, reset, mana, and I'll just put these in the right order, just so that they're like, there's a visual consistency. Summon, chicken, mana, buff, reset, explosion. And then other is like, I mean, other kind of comes under extra in a way, doesn't it? So yeah, let's just keep that as extra. Okay. And then it's as simple as that. And then that is all. So we get rid of all of this. And then chance multiplier. Okay. So then the question is, if we're saying that it's double chance for the player, which in a lot of cases it is, but how do we express that? How do we do that? So artifact.chance would be doubled in the event of, so it would be like if subject character is equal to dot is player, then, and then so it would be float chance equals I mean, we could just say dice, divide dice by 2. Does that work? I'm just thinking if that works mathematically. If I half the dice roll that I make, does that double the chance? Right? So it has to come under the... So if it's 20% chance to happen, I've rolled a dice of 15. So I half that. So, yeah. Yeah, it means twice as many of the numbers under 100 would be... Should I ask Gemini that? I don't know. I think that works. I just don't want to have to make another float. I could just, like, say the chance is artifact.chance and then half that if we're halving it. So if the subject character is player... Now, is that always true? If the subject character is the player, the chance is doubled in all cases? Let me just have a look at artifacts and see if I can find an exception to that rule. So, yeah, double chance for hero, double chance for hero. Hero buffs all. Okay, yeah, that is different. So, how could we do that? We could say... There's a couple ways to do that, but it would change the structure. Because yes, for dropping items... No for buff, no for reset, no for explosion. Right? So yes for dropping items, no for explosion and reset. Is that true? Let me just... I mean, I think that's true, but I need to double check with myself. Critical buff, critical mana, critical reset. Killer summon, killer heal. Yeah, that doesn't work like that anymore. And I'm also going to try and use this to write up the these descriptions and make my life a bit easier. So then we get to, like, I don't know, stoic. double chance for hero, double chance for hero, double chance for hero, double chance for hero, but buff, hero buffs all, mana, reset, hero resets all. Okay, so if we were to express that then, so the chance is only doubled. So yeah, we could just add something to artifact, which is, so yeah, I can uncomment these because we are keeping these, and then I could say just yeah, like this. This will make it easier. So we go, there's a bit where we do for each artifact in artifact list. Oh, and am I clearing this at the beginning of the list? Yes. Good, because I had a bug recently where I forgot to clear it at the beginning, before populating it. Okay, for each artifact in artifact list, then if artifact outcome, so yeah, we have another bool which is oh yeah, so I think other is better than extra. That's a word. Artifact outcome dot extra. Yeah, so then we say public bool player doubled. And then we say and player doubled artifact player double is true. Then half the value of the dice, therefore in doubling the chance. And then we say if artifact outcome dot if artifact is equal to double, no, it's artifact outcome is equal to buff reset. Yeah, so let's do all of them. So no, it would not be buff, it would be chicken. How do we have it? Summon. Or chicken. Or heal. So yeah, summon, chicken, mana. And it's great, I've got a handy list of artifact outcomes now. Summon, chicken, mana. Then the chance is doubled. Let me see that. So reset, resets all, mana, double chance, buff, buff all, loot. And then for the ones that are guaranteed, the chance is just going to be 100%. Extra is different. Heal, yeah. Oh, I just realized a mistake is probably here. So we say the dice roll, because this is not going to depend on the dice roll. So yeah, so we will just go dice equals random. So we'll just do our dice roll again. If and this should sit inside here. If dice is less than artifact dot chance. And so yeah, we're just gonna have to be careful because this is definitely cleaner, and it's just gonna make it easier for me to balance these artifacts. because it will just be like fewer numbers to change, and I won't have to change the description each time and so on. This is going to make my life a little bit easier, and it's just going to make me better at programming, because, you know, I'll be able to think like this next time and not do a sort of write each one out and you know, put the do you have this one, do you have this one, but we can make clever bits of code that sort of cover a lot of the outcomes. But yeah, we do have to do another dice roll here because that's the extra outcome, but that's fine for it's other. Oh no, other and extra are different. Or we could simply ask directly, is it this one? Yeah, okay. Refactoring my brain. So we do have a distinction between other and extra. We'll worry about this later. So if it's extra, then it's that. And then if at the, like, there are no other, there won't be any critical ones with other, but crit procs. And then we have to, because this only applies to this, we just kind of give it a separate paradigm. Like, so we have to say, would it make more sense to like go back? Like a number to change, like yeah, it's just that these are ones where we're not going to be able to like stack them like this. So if it's extra, then don't do the item burst, because that's only going to happen if the chance is true. It's a different dice roll. So I don't want to make this item burst if it's an extra. So I can either just put it under each case, or I can make a bool which is bool item burst equals true, and in this case we say it should be lowercase. If item burst like that. And then we say, yeah, artifact dot player double equals true. So yeah, this does make my life easier. Makes it much easier to make one of these. But then if the outcome is other, then we like, so yeah, extra or other, then like stop doing the rest of it. We could just do like, if or then just stop. Just don't return, stop. Return is stop, right? That just stops this void from happening, so nothing else will happen after that. Let's give that a whirl. So that means that we don't need this, which makes things a bit tidier, because we have just stopped. We're just doing these for the generic the generic artifacts which just drop an item or give a buff or reset or yeah, so then we don't need this. Good. And then all of these can go. All of that can go. Yeah, I think it can. Yeah, that can go. That's good. Okay. And so we don't need this at the moment. Yeah, artifact. Critical artifact. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So before I like get into the rest of the funk, so this would be critical chicken. So yeah, next up, let's make this compile. Critical chicken, killer chicken. Killer explosion. Oh yeah, so I want to bring these back. And then we can like switch them on and off. Buff explosion is not no, that's crazy. Debuff explosion, but I'll leave it for now. Block stoic explosion, we did have that. Knockback explosion, let's just leave that for now. Okay, so what was the issue here is that we've introduced variable. I don't know what that means. Never mind. Okay, where are the problems? Vengeful chicken. We will go through all of these later, but for now I just want to get the red bits. Buff chicken. And yeah, I still need to think about like whether all of these still make sense. Oh, we did have grave buff. Okay, fine. On resurrect. So yeah, back to artifacts. And so what I want to do now is make something. So like, okay, player double, and then even before this, write description. So if artifact dot outcome is equal to artifact outcome dot summon, so the description would be artifact dot description 0. Oh god, but for localization. Okay, that might have been ambitious then to try and get it to write the description. I don't think I should do that. I don't think I should do that. Because if we're going to translate the descriptions, but then maybe I should do translations differently, right? Maybe that's wrong. I should use JSON files, as someone mentioned yesterday, but that's a lot of work for something that is not broken. That is absolutely fine and running smoothly and everything. So I think actually the descriptions should just be the descriptions. Yeah, I'm not going to mess around with descriptions. But then we do need, in each case, to do so proc would be like that, and I need to do that for each of them, I guess, before sprite. I could do it by searching for name, but I don't think that's clever. Fact outcome dot here dot chicken. I'm not going to worry about the names just now. I'm going to just do this. Focus on this. Critical buff. Critical mana. Critical reset. Yeah, I guess I will worry about names. Okay. Vengeful summon, and then heal always needs to turn into chicken. I think I do need to do a find and replace for like heal. Okay. Holy summon, yeah. Extra. Ultimate. And yeah, we can change some of these. Like, not all the heal ones need to be chicken. Like, maybe this one it's not appropriate for it to be chicken. I don't know. It's just like I said, like, more synergies is good. It's more fun. But if it feels weird, we can change some of them back. Yeah, and then we've got like the power of it, because it's like if it's casting 4 buffs versus 1 buff, we can have like we could just do exceptions. Like if it's ultimate, then do more. So like, for example, if artifact dot proc is equal to artifact proc dot ultimate, then do it twice more, like that, which is a bit sticky, a bit messy, but like that's kind of the only place that it happens, really. Okay. Let's just delete these ones. Like rain is really not the one. Like it doesn't, it's not really going to make things better, and it's hell of a optimization thing, but also it's just not that good, really. Like it's not that satisfying. Okay, so this would be damage type, other. And this, because it doesn't fall into any category, so it will just have to be done manually in each case. And yeah, it's like other. Like we just do it manually. So all of these are just other, unless I find, unless it bothers me, I guess. There's a proc buff, extra. Proc buff, delete the ones we're not using anymore since we're tidying. Yeah, like it does feel a bit weird for someone to do a buff and then, like if it's buff reset, then it should reset the weapons of the subject. No, of the object. But if the hero gets buffed, it should reset everyone's. Yeah, okay, let's bring this back. And then hero resets. Weapons for whole army. When buffed, yeah, not the buffer, but the buffed. Debuff summon. Yeah, so it makes sense because just so many of these are like similar to each other, so they might as well use the same code. And yeah, so we might not actually, I might like miss some things here, but you know, we'll get it over time. Stoic summon. And yeah, we might delineate between chicken and heal. Because it might be that healing, like, it might just feel better and make more sense for a little bit of healing to occur rather than a chicken dropping. And in that case, what I'll do is I won't delete the other one. But yeah, I'm thinking for like stoic heal, it's like if you block, you have a chance to heal. And then, yeah, if you block, you have a chance to heal. And that's good. But instead of blocking, you have a chance to drop a chicken. Yeah, see, I think in some cases it works. In some cases it doesn't. So we have stoic heal and stoic chicken. And the chicken is like... But like for vengeful, it's like one of your allies dies, they can drop a chicken. Or one of your allies dies and the rest of your army heals a little bit. Like, which one's better? I don't know. I guess we should have both and, like, try them, right? Yeah, we should have both and try them. That's always the answer. People sit in meetings in games companies figuring these things out over hours and hours and hours with lots of expensive people's time. Like, which one should we do? And the answer is, if you're ever in doubt, unless it's like a really obvious answer, try both. You know, it's not always possible, but it's like you're doing yourself and your players a disservice if you don't try both. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm getting a bit lost in the weeds with this whole artifact business. Okay, this is other. Yeah, this is other. If it's other, I don't actually need to determine it, but it's fine. I'll just do it. Yeah, I don't really want to get lost in the weeds here, but I kind of want to get this right. So yeah, I'll work on this today, this morning, until my driving lesson at 11:30, and then I'll switch to something else, I think. But at least some of these have been simplified. And I can kind of tidy this up, and then it's like, okay, if I want to add or change, then I can do that. But let's do the things I want to do first. And then in the case of knockback, the chance is always... Oh, that's tricky. Yeah, so the knockback ones might need to be like in a class of their own. Because the chance of the knockback will be dependent on how much knockback you've done. That's one where the chance can actually change. So how do I flag that since it's in my head? So the proc would be, and the outcome would be just always other, just so it doesn't confuse me. So that will have to be done manually at the source. Or what we do is we ask for the chance, and yeah, I'll just have a different one for knockback. Yeah, chicken. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll just leave this like it is for now. Knockback extra. And what I'd quite like to do is just have all of the have all of this live here, so that when we run outcome, it's like it's there. So when I'm like editing these things, I can just stay within one script. It's just easier on the head. Knockback mana, knockback reset, looters, and then looters is so summon 2 allies whenever a special item is picked up. So this is also going to have to be like bespoke. So be looter, summon, but we can still have it like this. So I think I do still need to have it because I'm going to use that to calculate the chance. Yeah. So yeah, getting there, and then these are gone. Okay. So then we have this chance thing to think of, and it's like modify chance, and then we'll do a switch case. And we'll say, and just bear with me for a minute as I think about this. So modified chance, switch artifact dot proc, and so basically so it'll be chance equals like, so a critical, it's like base chance is 1. So like every time we crit, what do we have it as? 2% chance to drop a chicken on crit. So 2, and then chance equals critical value times summon value. So it would be like 1 times so yeah, each artifact should have something called chance, and that equals 1. So that would be, let's say chance is, yeah, 1%, right? And then if it's a critical, we think a critical should happen, like it depends how often we think criticals should happen. Obviously that's very variable, but let's try this string thing as well. Descriptions. Chance, so artifact chance plus percentage to and then so we would have this might all just be crazy. So outcome on crit to summon chicken. Summon, what are they? Summon chicken. Mana. Buff reset explosion. Reset explosion. And then, yeah, should it ever be like just buff me? See, I might just be really overcomplicating things. Like, we can just do it one by one. There aren't going to be that many artifacts. Yeah, no, I'm not going to do this. It's worth a try. It's worth thinking about always, even more than once. Drop a mana gem. Buff to cast a random buff to reset weapon cooldowns to explode on crit on extra and other. So yeah, this would just make my life marginally easier, but not really. But what we can do, so yeah, I'm not going to do this, but what we can do is say, how do I add unit, C# Unity sharp add to beginning of string. It's not really that easy. So it would be buff, yeah, so artifact dot descriptions equals artifact dot descriptions artifact and even then I think it's just complicated. Yeah, dot to string No, I think I'm just going to do it manually. So yeah, but modified chance I kind of would like to do. But maybe not, like, so it'd be like a crit is 2% chance, but then So we've written it out here, and it's like, so yeah, we're gonna have to go through and write the chance. So chance equals critical value times summon value. So that's saying 1 times 0.5 would be 0.5% chance. And then killer would be so times yeah, I think I'm just gonna so it'd be chance and I guess would be like times 100. So if it's a 2% chance, it would be 0.02 times 100 is 2, right? Times 10 is 0. Yeah, so times 100 is 2. So it would be chance times 100 to string plus artifact.descriptions. So and then I guess we'd have to do this for each language, for each and is this always like, do we always manage to, no, see this, the percentage ends up later in the sentence in a couple of the other languages. So yeah, I think while this was a worthwhile thing to explore, I think the best thing is just going to be to do it manually each time. So we go, so I'm going to have to, so it, yeah, it just means like the chance is equals 1, and in this case good crit is like 100% chance, but yeah, I mean we can still have that because I could change that. Yeah. So I'm going to have to do this for each of my artifacts, but I think that's worthwhile. So every time, but this means that whenever I change the chance, I don't have to do it over where the thing happens. I only have to do it like here and here, and I just need to make sure I always change both of these numbers. And that is easier. And yeah, I mean, maybe maybe we'll come back to trying this, but for now I'm just not gonna like we can come back to this maybe, but I kind of want to move on. I feel like this was supposed to be like a one and done sort of job, and it's turned out to take like nearly 2 full sessions now. So we just need to go through and put the chance here in every case, and hopefully the time we spent now will have been a good investment where I'll end up saving time overall. That'll be 025. No, that'll be 005, right? That's 0.5%. And then yeah, and then yeah, that should be good. And when as I balance it, I just need to do it one by one like that. Yeah, like summon a unit on buff seems like I might cut that entirely. Same with this one, debuff summon. Like it's just the number has to end up being so low that it sort of just feels bad. Okay, buffering. But for now, let's not worry too much about design. Let's just do what I set out to do. Very tedious work here, but it needs to be done. That one, yeah, 10%. I feel like that's just going to be absurdly high. 2% chance to drop a chicken on block, but I don't really know actually. Like, how often does a block happen? Because if it happens too often, obviously that's way too powerful. But I just need to make this number match. It doesn't matter if that number's correct. It just needs to match, and it needs to be there. And there's always the question of, should it be a chance thing, or should it be like, you know, like instead of saying 20%, 25% chance to resurrect at double strength, it should be always resurrect at like 120% strength, for example. I don't know. This is all. It's a bit hard to keep all of this in my head. I guess because it's like coming with a buff will proc a buff, and if that happens too often but it's just a weaker buff, that could be a problem. But either way, I don't think it's a mistake for the chances to be stored as a float rather than just handled manually at each end. Relative to knockback. Okay, that's not. I haven't even done the. Chance to chicken relative to knockback. So in this case, chance. I'm just going to keep chance at 1%. At 100%, because this is like relative, so I'm going to have to do this manually. So the chance isn't actually is going to be inconsequential. Because that's going to be calculated. Like I could say like chance, like if run artifact outcome and then say like chance is artifact.chance. Like we could do one where we say, so we just copy this, but then if we give it a chance, if we tell it what chance to have, right? it would be the other way around. So this would go under here. And so all of this goes in here. And we're not asking for artifact.chance. We're just asking for chance. And if we don't tell it a chance, then like that. So that'll work. Then we only have to do it half manual. Okay. I mean, at least this means like we can make all of the artifacts we can think of and just be like, let's try them out, let's see what works, what doesn't, you know. But yeah, this works. This is good. Okay, so we've done that. Each of them now has a percentage embedded. And there might be some artifacts we have to change, some we have to cut, but I'm not going to think about that too much now. I'll kind of deal with those as I see them. And that will be yeah, chance to drop. Yeah, so the chance is now in there. So there's a couple of things we need to do. We need to go to if I follow this, I'll get to all the bits I need to change. Mana. But then buff, reset, explosion, the chance isn't doubled for the player. Or could it be? I guess explosion would be. But not for reset. Summon, chicken, mana is always, the chance is doubled if the player's doing it. And of course if the chance is 1, then that doesn't matter anyway. And then summon, chicken, mana, what are the ones? Buff, reset, explosion. Yeah, so buff is like buff all, it's not a chance-based thing. I mean, it could be like the hero has a double chance of doing it and buffs everyone. But probably not. And then the reset would be like, yeah, it could have a higher chance to happen and does it for everyone. So like this is all like there's so many like the artifacts, like there's so many ways you could go with it that it's like a bit of a brain explosion, because it's like, oh yeah, how should this be, and how should being the hero doing it change the outcome and change the chances, and which ones should we have and which ones shouldn't we have, and should you drop a chicken or should you just heal everyone immediately or just heal the person who did it. So we could have heal, so chicken. I mean, mana is like, because that is something that only relates to the hero, but chicken and heal could be separate. So one is drop a chicken, the other one is heal. One is summon a unit, the other one is summon a can of beans. We like picking up items. Picking up items is fun. You have to go and do it, which changes things a bit, but it is fun to pick up a can of beans. And you could sort of imagine a scenario where you kind of save up some beans, like some beans are left there on the floor and you can go back and get them later, which is an interesting concept, which actually might be a reason to not do it like this. The nature of the game, though, is that you don't have a lot to gain by not picking up the summoner now, because you want your army big so it can crush enemies before they can hurt them, before you get any casualties. A bigger army has lower casualties. That's the sort of difficulty with this game. Yeah, I guess like there's just so many different ways you could go with this, which brings me to like other games don't do it like this. In Monster Train, you get these, and I think they are called artifacts as well. You get artifacts and they do similar things, but rather than having, like I've kind of done it in a sort of programmery head where I'm like, oh yeah, you could have any proc and you could have any outcome. But it might make more sense to have them more like thematic, you know, like actually we don't need all of these. It would be better to have fewer of them and don't name them based on like, oh, holy means like based on prefixes and suffixes. Like the holy prefix means this happens whenever you heal, and the summon means it's going to cause a summon. It might make more sense just to have it like more themed, like you've got the Stone of Doom, which, you know, the skull of the Grim Reaper, which increases the, you know what I mean? Like the bloody blade increases lifesteal, that kind of thing. You know, so it's a balancing question. But yeah, it wouldn't be a big deal to say, okay, just for ease of like testing this out. So we have an outcome which is chicken. We also have an outcome which is heal. And we can have an outcome which is summon and an outcome which is summoner, which means I need to go back and change the other ones. So if it's summoner, but if it's summon, and we can find killer summon, and we just do this. Oh, what did I close there? That does it. Should it be 3? Are we spawning 3 allies whenever? Oh, that's the radius. Okay. So yeah, it's just going to happen once. It's not spawning 3 allies. So we just spawn a unit. And then you'd have chicken. And you'd have heal. And heal does this. Yeah. Oh, I made a mistake earlier, so I just realized why things were the way they were. Random buff self. Yeah, this should have. Okay, yeah. So random buff character. So it's random buff, and we've got random buff all. So random buff buffs the thing that it's. No, so. Just so that that's stored. So we go random buff on object character. So critical buff. See, that could be a problem. No. Like in this case, it is buffing itself. See, yeah, this is confusing. Random buff self. So critical hit. We don't want to buff the person that we've done a critical hit to. We want to buff the person that did the critical hit. And the subject is the one who did the critical hit. So they should buff themselves. But if it's like I've healed someone, I want to buff the person I've healed. But then in that case, so critical artifacts. So we are. So this is the person who got hit and the damager. And the subject of the, so it would be, so the subject character, drop item from the object character, buff the object character. No, buff the subject character, but sometimes we want it to be the object character. Okay, that's tricky. That's tricky. Who do we do the thing to? I mean, if we're dropping an item, it doesn't really matter if it's coming from, like, who it's coming from. I think it should come from... so this would actually still be subject character. The character who does the thing drops the thing. But the explosion, yeah, and it should be the character who does the thing makes the explosion. But if it's a heal, we want to buff the person. So yeah, we buff the object. But in the case of a critical hit, we run the outcome on the person who did the critical hit. Because if we ran it on its victim, then yeah, okay, so I need to keep an eye on that. That's going to get confusing with some of these. Not so bad with others. Okay. So the next thing I need to do is go through all of these. If dot So this is a really bespoke one. Yeah, so that's the first or default. So I should keep that in my pocket really. And then so what are the other ones? Yeah, double blood. Is not equal to null. Okay, I'm going to keep that in my pocket. Go to summon. Oh, okay, so this is the killer one. And here we want to do something similar to what we did with critical. So critical artifacts. Killer summon. Killer artifacts. No, so this is wrong. This should not be up here. Killer summon, killer heal, killer buff, killer mana, killer rain, killer explosion can all go. And this is killer artifacts. And if the proc is killer, then we do the same thing. Run artifact outcome. And it's always on the damager. And then there is no extra for killer. And so the killer is the one who would receive a heal. The killer is the one who would explode? No. So explosion would always be on the object character. Yeah. Okay, next up. Vengeful. So once again, let's take. So I'll just put a little blurb here so we don't lose it. And critical artifacts. Copy this. I hate the way this works sometimes, right? Yeah, critical artifacts. That's why I don't do the backup. I like just, but yeah, we've already got some bugs. So anyway, if my team, yeah, so we lose all of these. There is no extra vengeful. And so the person who's doing the artifact would be this and this, except yeah, so let's say vengeful summoner, yeah, it's the subject character. It's the subject character. It's always going to be the same character that the thing happens on. The person who died will drop the mana gem. The person who died will vengeful buff. Vengeful. How does that even work? Vengeful buff. Okay. So then we would need to put the exception here. If it's buff or artifact dot artifact dot outcome dot proc is equal to artifact proc dot vengeful, then just random buff all, and it would be the one who died who is buffing everyone. So they're not going to benefit from having done a buff, but then that's not really how we want to do things anyway. So We'll see if that causes any issues. Yeah, so we're going to have a few little fiddly bits like this, but at least from this point of view, we could we simplify this? So we would have like I mean, at this point, it's really not necessary, but we could have public static void run artifact outcomes, and we are just asking for proc and then we just do no, I'm not going to bother with that. Maybe that's better, but I just because we need these bits, so it doesn't feel correct. Yeah, and I guess this can sit above here. We don't need these brackets. Okay. Bench for artifacts. Okay, and then flaming death would be first or default thing. I don't want to have to write that out each time. Let's skip those for now. Okay, yeah. So that's going to be a first or default change. So that's annoying because I basically have to take from a different paste bin. So holy, let's do holy. So we don't need this. We do critical artifacts. We go back. And here we are. It's holy summon, holy buff, holy mana, holy reset, holy rain, holy explosion. And we do that, but we don't need those extra brackets. And we say for each artifact in if artifact.holy, run artifact outcome, so the healer and this. So let's make sure that that's correct. And if artifact.extra amount times equals 2, so we're increasing the amount that we're healing. Let me double check that is 25% chance to double. Oh, okay, so that's still a chance. So that would be dice is and that the chance is on the artifact, so that already works. We heal for double if it's extra. Okay, and then we go run artifact outcome, and just in my head, summon drop the person who did the healing drops the item. The person who did the healing drops the item. The person who I think it should be the person who is healed who gets the buff. Like in each case, the person who is healed gets the reset, gets the buff, gets the heal. So actually, it would be this. So there's going to be some funkiness there. So yeah, the person who gets the heal gets the stuff, right? See, yeah. And then the artifact sprite, like it can appear above the healer or the person who was healed. Basically, it should just appear above the person who did the effect. Okay, well, so that's holy done. And yeah, basically I might run into some issues there. Okay, debuff. So what did I paste? Okay, good, we've got this pasted. So if buff.debuff is equal to true, then do this. Debuff artifacts. And we say buff.value, buff value. Buff value equals 2. It's just the same as, oh yeah, no, times equals 2. And then what do we have? We have buffer. So it should be the person who, so the buffer drops the item. The person who did the debuff drops the item. The person who did, like, this doesn't matter. The person who did the debuff gets healed. And if not, I could, if it doesn't work in every case, like, so actually I just kind of, I don't want subject and object character. I think that confuses things. I'm not going to be able to figure this out in the time I have before my driving lesson. But it wouldn't be bad to just finish this and go artifact. So this would be the buffer. And the buffer would explode, the buffer would heal, the buffer would drop the mana, the buffer would get the buff, the buffer would reset their weapons. So it would never really actually do anything to the person who got debuffed. Okay, and then, so I should say debuffer in each of those cases. And then we have electric boogaloo here. Which will just leave us, that's a different kind of fix. Have to get a different paste bin, but basically yeah, that would just be like that. So if you have double buff and electric boogaloo, that's going to be, oh no, it's buff time. Yeah, okay. And then we make the item burst within that. Okay, that's fine. All right. I'm sure I've made lots of mistakes, which will need fixing. But overall, this is improvement. I'm sad that it's taken this long because this was meant to be just like a half session worth of work, but it's turned out to be like nearly 2 sessions. Well, it's going to be more than 2 sessions worth of work now. But it's tidier, it's better, it's cleaner. It's going to be easier to modify and balance. And so later today, so we still got this list to go through, but I'm just sorting out these artifacts. Not worrying too much about design, but just getting the stuff I wanted to get done. and at least going through all of these compile errors and replacing them with the right code. So I will be back today at, I think, around 2 o'clock if I'm not too burnt out from the driving lesson. So yeah, I think I'll be back at 2. Yeah, I'll come back at 2, even for a little bit. So thank you very much, everyone who joined today. It really makes my day if I get a subscription. Like any day, I got like 5 yesterday, so I was really happy. But if I get 1, I'm super happy. So thank you very much, and I will be back at 2. Cheers, bye.